this video, we'll be talking about temperance. Temperance is the absence of alcoholic drinks. It originally started in 1800 because many Americans believed that drinking was immoral and that alcohol was a threat to the nation's success. In the 1820s, hundreds of temperance groups were founded all across the U.S. One important group was the American Christian Temperance Union, because just over 9 years, they gained 8,000 different chapters all across the U.S. Many temperance groups were run by men and only men. Instead, the women formed their own temperance groups. In the early 1850s, these women's groups began working together. On January 13th, 1853, the first Women's Temperance Convention was led by women's rights leader Susan B. Anthony in New York. With all these different groups across America, the movement had to get put on hold during the Civil War. After the war, the U.S. economy shifted from farming to factories. Many Americans believed that the problems common in cities, like homelessness, unemployment, and crime, were caused by drinking alcohol. That's why in 1817, Congress started to make a new amendment. But it didn't get approved until 1919 as a temperance, as the 18th Amendment. This amendment stayed until 1933 due to the 21st Amendment. And these are my sources that I used. This is part two of the video. Now we're going to be talking about conservation. Conservation in the United States can be traced back to the 19th century with the formation of the first national park. But conservation efforts are still going on today. The movement began with American sportsmen who came to the realization that wildlife and their habits were getting destroyed, which led to some species being extinct or at risk of being extinct. That's why in 1887, Theodore Roosevelt, George Bird Girlin, and other predominant sportsmen of the day formed the first true North American conservation organization, the Boone Correct Club, with the purpose of addressing and looming conservation crises of the day. Conservation in America was greatly influenced by Theodore Roosevelt. President Theodore Roosevelt was one of the most powerful voices in the history of American conservation. After becoming president in 1901, Roosevelt used his authority to establish 150 national forests, 51 federal bird reserves, 4 national game preserves, 5 national parks, and 18 national monuments spanning over 230 million acres of public land. This was used to show people what the land was like and to help conservation efforts across America.